All right, this is a test. Okay, I'm testing this real quick to see. Testing. This is a test. Testing. 1, 2, 3. This is the test. What's up, folks? This should all be good right now. Trying to verify, but this everything should be good. Let me know if it's not, because YouTube is being weird sometimes. Can you hear me? Does it sound all right? What's up? Testing. 1, 2, 3. Yo. Yo. What's up? How does the stream look? How does the audio sound? Because for a second I was freaking out for a second because YouTube was being YouTube, showing me something that I did not want to see. But I think everything is fine. Just gotta make sure I'm not crazy. Sure, I'm not crazy. Hey, what's up, folks? Oh, sounds good. Cool. All right. Awesome. Should be able to go all the way up to not even 1080p, but even higher. This is like you can tell this is a new. I haven't streamed in a minute, or I haven't streamed through OBS Studios in a long time. So I'm like subconscious about everything. Like, yeah, okay, cool. That works. All right, cool. Awesome. Hey, what's up, folks? I decided to do this stream because if you didn't know, we're living under the RWBY rock. Rooster Teeth is done. Okay, it's pretty much going to be shut down, and the RWBY IP it's up in the air. So, Volume 9 very may well be the last volume of RWBY. So I was thinking, you know what? Wouldn't it be nice to have a look back at some of the good moments? You know, some of the positive moments of RWBY, some of the good episodes. You know, because that's the person that I am. You know, it's just who I am, you know. So I decided to do that. So here we are. We're talking about the good of RWBY and some of the better episodes here in a second. But I hope everything is well. I'm gonna let some of you guys file in. Hit the like button. Make sure you do that. What's up? Crazy. I was once the locked in. Can't read this because there's two things in the way. Rubber Room, Yard, Volume 3 was peak RWBY. Interesting take. Was Volume 3 peak RWBY? The second half certainly was. My favorite episodes to this day, we'll talk about here in a second what my favorite episode is still, but I would agree that the second half of Volume 3 is still pretty good. The first half of Volume 6 is pretty good. The filler volume that was Volume 9 had its moments, stuff like that. Let me retweet this stream link on Twitter just to kind of reconfirm to the folks that I'm live now. No, not live, not. Paste. All right, I hope all is well. PvP was your favorite episode? Cool. Volume 7, Volume 9 Volume 7, Volume 8 were trash. They definitely weren't good. They're the bottom of the barrel volumes. Yeah, so like I said, I wanted to do this video talking about some of the good episodes of RWBY. Let's go ahead and get started. Folks that come in later, they come in later. That's just how it is. All right, I'm gonna now hit this button. Check this out. Watch what I do here. Oh, light just went out for no reason. Feel free to send in any super chats if you want. That would definitely stop me because I might just start talking and I won't be paying attention to the chat potentially. So here we go. All right, watch this scene. Watch this. Check this out. Boom. How is that? Look at that. Isn't that kind of snazzy? Look at that. All right, so Vexed of RWBY. Let's start with, try to spread this out. Try to look at all the volumes here. Start with volume 1. You're late. You're not that late. You're not that late. I literally just started, so I haven't done anything yet. I haven't talked about any of the chapters or anything like that. So you're good. Let's start with volume 1, chapter 10, which is The Badge and the Burden, part 2. Now, this chapter, it's an interesting one because this is the one where we finally see the potential of the character development for certain characters. In this case, Weiss, right? So Weiss starts off, she's very much annoyed with RWBY's behavior. She goes ahead and she steps up in class for Professor Port, and she gets annoyed with RWBY very quickly. She basically tells RWBY, hey, I don't respect you as leader. You've done nothing to earn your position. Get out of here. Leave me alone. Osmond made a mistake. And then RWBY had a talk with Osmond. Weiss had a talk with Professor Port. We see some character development. And is this a solid episode of television for RWBY, especially volume 1? We see some character development. We see some character moments. We see some progression in Weiss. How well it worked, how well executed it was for Weiss, you can debate that. But it was good to see some character development early on in the show. Showed potential, showed some growth. And I thought it was well put together for the most part. Especially for volume 1. Like, volume 1 is all passion, complete passion project. Volume 1 was. So it can't really, I have a hard time knocking volume 1. There's definitely bad moments, but I have a hard time knocking it because it's basically all passion, It's a good episode for the most part. And it had decent dialogue. And I thought I wanted to add something from volume 1, so I chose this one. But overall, I'd say it's solid. And this is where I was always a fan of Weiss, but this is the episode where people started like getting on the Weiss train, getting on board with Weiss. But I was always a fan of Weiss because I always saw the progression coming. Like, the characters like Weiss, you see it coming, they're going to have a turn, they're going to have development, all right? So from the get-go, I like Weiss because I said, oh, okay, she's the dynamic character. She's the one that's going to have an arc over the course of the show, and it turns out that's what happened. She did, in fact, develop over the course of the series. But yeah, volume 1 is 90% passion, 10% project. Volume 1 was I can't hate on volume 1 too much. They did what they could do. All right, so any objections? Does anyone think chapter 10 of volume 1 is bad? Anyone think it's a bad episode? Let me know. It's one of the better episodes of the volume for sure. I think you can pick and choose between my list here. I think I got about 10 to 12 episodes here. You can pick and choose. They have some quibbles here in terms of which one I chose. But I think volume 1, chapter 10 is a good episode of RWBY, especially for that time. Anyone disagree? Am I wrong? You think it's trash? Yeah, everyone hated Weiss. That's it for me. I loved her from the get-go. Oh, this is the character that's actually going to change. Okay, awesome. I loved her attitude. RWBY had no character development until volume 9, chapter 7. Well, RWBY had some character development in, I feel like it happened somewhere. She has some character So in volume 6, there was some stuff. It wasn't. He came out volume 6. See, the problem with early volume 6, it was a course correct because volume 5 got shitted on. They had so much criticism of volume 5 that they ended up course correcting RWBY. So she came out better at the beginning of volume 6. They said, oh, that's the progression. But then we find out the reason why she progressed or developed was silly. I forgot the reason she gave. Oh yeah, I'm angry. The moment in volume 5, remember that? When she says, no, I'm angry. That was the development moment, which wasn't strong. That's the thing. But she did get development, it just wasn't good. And then it went overboard in the second half of volume 6. But we talk about that in the negative video. This is the positive of RWBY. Hey, what's up? Not good. Players and pieces should also be there too. I can respect players and pieces. I can respect that. Bro, I should not take anyone that long to think of the main character having development. It did take me a minute, didn't it? It took me a hot second. Because of the execution of volume 6 and volume 5. You're right. It shouldn't take me that long, but it did. All right, let's move on to the next chapter I'm going to cover. This is in volume 2, chapter 6. It's called Burning the Candle. Now, this is a favorite of... Wait. There's still another picture here. Weiss gives RWBY the coffee. Forgot about that. Yeah, that's her peace offering to RWBY. All right. So, Burning the Candle, volume 2, chapter 6. They're preparing for the dance, and Blake shows up at the dance eventually, but she was kind of like... Well, she didn't want to show up to the dance because she thought it was silly and it was a waste of time. She didn't have time for a stupid dance, and then Yang had to go get her, bring her to the dance. She came, she danced with Yang and Sun, and it was just a solid episode. It was a good episode for characterization for Yang, Blake, for Pyrrha, for RWBY. It was just a good slow things down character moment episode kind of thing, you know. We got Yang's backstory. John went after Weiss. He was blind to the fact that Pyrrha liked him, you know. There's just no character interactions, character stuff, building on character, you know, one of those episodes you see in every show, that every show has these type of episodes where very character focused, character interaction, not a lot of busy stuff happening, not a lot of busyness, not a lot of action, just character interaction, character interplay, characterization, stuff like that. The relationships are changing, different dynamics within a relationship are changing. So, and it had a very good scene with RWBY and Osmond at the end there. You saw RWBY wearing her heels. She's having trouble with the heels. So everybody has like, everyone's character got expanded on and got different type of characterization. Whether it was RWBY in it with her not be able to, not a girly girl, you know, she's not really a girly kind of girl. She can't really stand the heels. That's awkward for her. The speech by Osmond was good. Just good stuff all around. This solid episode of television. I would say Burning the Candle is. This had the infamous... Do I have this picture actually? I don't. I spoiled the next one. Had the infamous wink by Yang that everybody ran with at that time. Said, oh, they must be gay because she winked at her, you know. That turned out to be a bigger deal than I thought it was at the time. Cause I think the fandom made that wink more bigger than the writers thought it was at the time. I fully believe that wink was not a big deal, but they made it a big deal ultimately later on down the line by tying back to that damn wink. But ultimately it was just a damn wink. People thought, oh, she must like Blake. Like, no, it wasn't. That's what you were saying at the time. I refuse to believe that was the plan at the time. Don't BS. Thoughts on this chapter? Any objections to Burning the Candle? I thought it's solid stuff, you know. Nora tells Pyrrha to practice what she preaches because she's basically pushing John in the direction of Weiss, even though she likes John. Just good, solid stuff. Uh, any objections to this? Where was this? Is where Bumblebee started. This is where they say Bumblebee started. I just think it was just a wink that they then retroactively said that, you know, made a bigger deal than it was. It was just a wink. Okay. It gave birth to Bumblebee online. The online fandom, the wink gave this birthed the Bumblebee ship online, for sure, online. Do me a favor, hit the like button. Hit the like button if you are listening to this right now. But yeah, so that was a good episode, I would say. I'm not seeing any objections, so cool. All right, let's move on. Is there a single good episode after Volume 5? Oh, for sure. We'll get to that in a second. All right, let's move on to the next chapter, which is probably to this day still my favorite chapter of RWBY. And that is Volume 3, Chapter 11, Heroes and Monsters. Still probably my favorite episode of the entire series. Why? Ramifications, consequences. It felt like an actual penultimate episode. Bad things happened. There was payoff. You know, it was just, I'm big on consequences and ramifications and things mattering. And this is the ultimate stuff mattered, right? You have the Tortrick fight with RWBY, where Tortrick got eaten, you know, and Nora flies off like Mary Poppins, right? You have Blake fighting Adam. Blake gets stabbed. Yang loses her arm. You have reveals for Ironwood. Like Ironwood revealed to have like half a robotic body, you know. Velvet shows, we finally get the payoff of Velvet's semblance, right? Cinder makes her move. There's a lot of stuff mattering, a lot of stuff paying off, and it's probably still my favorite episode of RWBY. This is peak RWBY. This is the moment I thought, oh, they actually have something here. This actually could be something. Like, this is actual stakes, consequences, characters having agency. It's good. It's actually good. I was very much a fan of this chapter, and it's still my favorite chapter of the show. It felt like an actual penultimate episode to an arc, the Beacon arc. This episode, leading into the finale, felt like an actual, you know, big moment in the show, and I'm very much a fan of that. It's really good. What say you? Agree? This is still my favorite chapter of the show. For sure. Make sure my because if I hit the button, I'm not sure how many pictures I have for this chapter. I don't want to spoil the next one. Or I see how many pictures are in here. Oh yeah, there's more. This is the episode where Autumn got. She gets shot. Yeah, Cinder makes her move. So Cinder kills this Fall Maiden. Pyrrha had to make the decision to step up and sacrifice herself potentially to be the Fall Maiden. So you had to make that decision. John was oblivious. You know, it was just a very good penultimate episode to a volume. No, I didn't skip volume 2 completely. I did. You missed it. Burning the Candle. Volume 2, Chapter 6, Burning the Candle, had an episode for sure. Everyone agrees? Everyone agrees? Yep. Still my favorite episode. Still my favorite. This is when RWBY felt like it had its own identity, Philip says. Cool. Yeah, man, it's good stuff. It's good. Can't complain about Heroes and Monsters for sure. Like, not at all. All right, let's move on to the next chapter. You prefer Painting the Town? What was Painting the Town again? Wasn't that one? Was that the train fight? Painting the Town. Oh wait. No, it's not. No, it's not. Right? No. I don't remember what Painting the Town was. Oh, okay. That's. Oh yeah, that's good. That's a good one. Like I said, I'm not gonna include all the chapters. Painting the Town is an enjoyable episode of television. It is, for sure. Yeah, it is. Like, I really do enjoy that chapter. To watch back. Like, that's the chapter you watch people react to, and you enjoy watching it. That's a solid chapter. When they fight the mech, yeah, that's a solid chapter. That easily could have made this list, for sure. I'm definitely going to leave some stuff out. The mech fight was cool. Yes, it was. And they were doing the tag teaming with the different ship names. That's good stuff. All right, let's move on to so that definitely would be an honorable mention for sure. Paint the Town. That's a solid one. All right, let's move on to the very next chapter. The very next chapter after this one, which was End of the Beginning. The finale to Volume 3. I can see, in my opinion, Volume 3 had the best close by far of any volume. The strongest close. The wrap-up of the Beacon arc was good. I think Pyrrha makes the ultimate decision to sacrifice herself potentially by going up there to fight Cinder. She loses. She would have beaten Cinder for sure. At this point, I think it's clear that she would have whooped Cinder's ass had Cinder not have the maiden power. But Cinder had that, so she was in trouble. She lost to Cinder, lost her life. RWBY ran up there, released her Silver Eyes, which was a payoff to the very first episode of RWBY. In fact, this chapter itself is very much a payoff to the first chapter of the show. So I like that payoff. I like how it paid off a lot of stuff we learned in the first episode. Silver Eyes comment by Osmond. The conversation between Salem and Osmond in episode 1 was continued here. So it was really a nice bookend to what we've gotten before. And I just thought, again, ramifications and consequences, things mattering. Pyrrha died. A character that people loved actually died. There's stakes here. You know? This is the beginning of Yang's depression. After losing her arm. We see RWBY's father. Just a very good wrap up of the volume and the entire arc. You know, just good stuff. Very good emotion from Yang, from RWBY, from everyone involved. Somber, sad, quiet, still, good stuff. It would have been better if Pyrrha actually had a good reason to go up there in the first place. Her reason was to buy time, right? Because they're waiting for Crow and the crew to get there. She's like, there's no time. Go up there now. I gotta go up there now to like stop her. Why did she go up there to the? I know she saw Cinder go up there. But why did she follow? The tower. She went up there she thought she was going up there to destroy the tower. So you went up there she followed Cinder up there to stop her. That's what happened. Don't throw me off like that. You had me wondering what the hell she went up there. She went up there to stop Cinder from destroying the tower. And unfortunately got destroyed by the damn Grimm. Heroes and monsters and end of the beginning, back to back, very strong episodes of RWBY. And of course, we got the Salem reveal. So again, time back to episode 1, the conversation between Salem and Osmond. We get the reveal of the big bad, the woman over Cinder. And honestly, at this point, I don't think. I wonder what you guys think about this. At this point, the hype train for RWBY is at its highest. When this episode ends, when Volume 3 ends, the hype for this show was at its highest. I want to look at the numbers and see how many people became first members leading into Volume 4. Like, this was a very big moment in the show. Very well received. And I feel like the popularity was on the rise big time when Volume 3 happened, leading into Volume 4. Like that, the time between Volume 3 and Volume 4, I feel like it was at its most, fandom was at its most positive and at its most, like, I don't know what the word I'm going to use for that. Just, it's positivity. People were happy. People were excited. Excitement, enjoyable. Like, people were looking forward to Volume 4. I just think that period of time, the hype was so strong for RWBY. It was at a good place in terms of the fandom. All right, let's move on to the next chapter. So I'm cheating here. I was beyond impatient. Yeah, same here. Because I actually binge watched the first 3 volumes at once. After I watched Volume 3, I'm like, holy crap, when is Volume 4 dropping? I gotta see next volume. I gotta see what happens next. And that's why I became a first member, because I was caught up in the hype of the first 3 volumes. I watched it all at once. It's a different experience to watch the first 3 volumes all at once. That's what I did. So by the time I got to this chapter, I'm like, oh wow, they got something here. This is cool. Maybe they can actually turn this into something, because in my mind, they're going to keep getting better and better and better. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what they're going to do next. Hype train was real. Yep. The theory crafting was huge. Binged them too. Yep. I binged the first 3 volumes at once. And then, I hopped on the RWBY train between the Volume 3 and Volume 4. So after I binge watched the first 3 volumes, I went online. I saw how everyone was super excited. I got excited. Watched a whole bunch of reactions, watched Murder Birds, watched a bunch of reactions online. Got me even more excited. And the hype was real at that time. I remember the character short dropped for RWBY. A lot of hype behind the character short as well. My opinion on the change in animation. That's a good question. I feel like, I think the show did change a bit. I don't think it was better or worse. I feel like if the animation style would have stayed the same, I feel like people would be less harsh on RWBY and maybe more forgiving and more like, I don't know. I just feel like nostalgia for the first 3 volumes, that animation style. I have nostalgia for that. I look upon that with rosier eyes, with nicer eyes. I feel like once we move into Volume 4, I get more critical. But when I go back and look at these volumes, whether they deserve it or not, I'm not as harsh on it. I feel like that may just be because I'm nostalgic for the first 3 volumes, or maybe it has something to do with the animation style. For whatever reason, I see it, I think of, okay, better times, not as harsh, more forgiving. When I see the updated version of RWBY with the new engine, I'm more critical immediately. Interesting. I don't know why. There's maybe a reason for that. I don't know why that is, but it's what it is. All right, let's move on to the next. So this, I'm kind of cheating with this one. If we would have got the Monty fights, we got some good fights after Volume 3. Let's move on to the next one. So I'm kind of cheating on this one because I'm doing 2 at a time, which is kind of pointless because I didn't have to do it like this, but in fact, I'm not going to do it like that. The next chapter is Volume 4, Chapter 6, Tipping Point. Now, this was a good chapter for characters, especially for Weiss. Yeah, the moment where Weiss was in the charity hall or the charity event, she sung for the folks, came into here. This is like our only real like I don't know if people realize this, but we didn't really get that much Atlas when we went to Atlas. We went to the kingdom of Atlas. We got Mantle a lot. We didn't really get that much of Atlas when you really go back and look at it. So this scene with the people in the charity event, this is our best look at the people of Atlas and the culture and how people are on the streets. Because we really don't get that much of that in Volume 7. Really, it's more about Mantle. But yeah, so we're introduced to the culture and the people of Atlas. We get Weiss in her big character moment here when she tells off the lady, everybody there, that they're narcissistic clowns who don't have a clue, talking about nothing, where there's people out there really dying and there's really real problems out there. You guys are in here talking about your hair and your money, your stupid problems. Got that scene, which is good. She summoned the Bulbous, I don't remember the name of this Grim. The Grim that she fought back in chapter 1. Solid stuff here from Weiss. We're introduced to we had a scene with Oscar beginning. That wasn't really that important. You don't remember Volume 4? Volume 4 has some good stuff. Volume 4 has some good stuff. I used to be harder on Volume 4, but as time goes on, and I've seen the stuff we gotten later, I appreciate Volume 4 more than I did before. Yeah, it was a wasted opportunity to explore Atlas. Yep, sure was. We could have got more stuff from Atlas, but it is what it is. And then, of course, they were in Onigiri, and that's when Tyrion popped up and made his go at them. So basically, there's a lot of character moments for Weiss, and Weiss in particular showed that her time in Beacon had changed her. So that was all really good. Big Weiss episode. And then I kind of want to see, that's the thing with these episodes. These two, Punished and Tipping Point, they're kind of a two-parter, part one and part two, kind of, for me. So it's kind of hard to talk about one without the other. That's why I kind of like lumped them together in this review. But yeah, Volume 4, Chapter 6, and Volume 4, Chapter 7, Tipping Point and Punished are on this list for my best episodes. And of course, you had a good fight, a good interaction, a good action scene between Tyrion and the crew. And then, of course, Crow shows up to make the save. And then everyone's like, oh my God, we have to see the next episode. And then Tipping Point leads to Punished. And in Punished, we have what I thought was actually, in hindsight, a solid scene for Oscar and Osmond. At this point, there's this mystery about what's going on with this kid. And this reveal of how Osmond is in his head talking to him, and that they're sharing memories. I thought it was subtle, actually. They didn't go overboard to try to explain what's happening here. I thought the way they did it was kind of subtle, in terms of like how Osmond was remembering things that from the kid's memory. The kid was remembering stuff from Osmond's memory, and it was kind of subtle. It wasn't over the top with the explanation and how they were recalling the memories from each other. I thought it was solid for what they're going for. Can't really complain. Solid scene here for Oscar. Then we had the of course, Weiss getting slapped. Had the interaction with Weiss and her brother. What's his name? Whitley. Which was good. Good stuff. Definitely a two-parter from Tipping Point. And then of course we get the fight sequence between Crow and Tyrion, which was animated by Kim Newman and another person who name I can't remember. Kim was my favorite animator at RWBY at the time. She went on to better places. Hope she's well. She animated this with another person. I can't remember who it was. Good stuff. Good action sequences. Definitely a highlight of the volume. Now, some would say, hey, where's Volume 4? Some would say that the best. So this is my favorite part of Volume 4. Now, other people will say, hey, the finale. Hey, Kuriyuri. What the hell is the name of Ren's village? Was it Kuriyuri? Something like that? Whatever. People say that that's the best of Volume 4. I think that episode is slightly overrated. It's good. It's solid. It's not bad. But Kuriyuri, I think, is a little slightly overrated. I think it's a fine episode. Decent backstory for Ren. Not my favorite to go back to. Okay, I'd rather watch these two episodes together than the finale and Ren's backstory. That's just me. I acknowledge that the finale is solid and Ren's backstory is solid, but I will say that this is the best of Volume 4 for me. These two episodes. John and Ruby scene was good. It was okay. I didn't love the fact that Ruby. It was fine. Okay, in hindsight, it was fine. The first time I saw it, I did not like how John went there, said his piece, and like, you know, and she kind of like she's kind of depressed about, you know, she's like, this is all my fault. I shouldn't have dragged you guys into this. Like, no, he's like, no, it's not your fault. We wanted to come. You gave us the courage to follow you. Yada yada yada. It's fine. Okay, I thought they could have done more with Ruby. At that time, I was very much annoyed with Ruby's character development and her progression. So I very much did not like the scenes she were in. In hindsight, it's not that bad. But at the time, I did not like that scene because I thought that they could have done more with Ruby and her character at that time. But it's not. It's honestly, looking back, it's not that bad. Yeah, the fight in Volume 4 finale is not the best in terms of jump cuts and people jumping around and teleportation. It's not the best, but it is what it is. Volume 4 is not as bad as I thought in hindsight, but these two are my favorite episodes of the volume for sure. Probably a hot take, but Crow shouldn't have became a permanent member of the RWBY. I agree. No, that's not a hot take. That's correct. Crow should never have joined the crew. I made this point in another video. I don't know if it was a video or a stream. Crow should have came in, got hit by the poison, and went about his way. They should have had Crow join. They wanted to have Vic along for the ride. The voice actor Vic. They should never had brought Crow into the main fold. He should have been a person that pops in and pops out. Keep him cool. The more someone's on screen, the less cool that person is, the less in demand that character is. He should have been away from the camera, off screen for a while, pop in, be the cool guy, and then leave again. To have him following around those kids was a mistake. To have him getting bossed around by RWBY was a mistake. Crow should have been on his own, a Lone Ranger, and kept cool and not so much on screen and in your face. Because the more you saw Crow, the less cool he got, which was a mistake. Crow will never be as cool as he was than when he first was introduced. Crow first popped in on the scene. That was the coolest he's ever been. Everything after that was the cool factors went down and down and down. He should never have been on screen for that long. He should never have been a member of the crew at all. Period. That's not a hot take. You are correct. All right, let's move on to the next chapter, which is, so check this out. We are going to skip Volume 5 completely for obvious reasons. We are skipping Volume 5. If you know, you know. If you don't know, then you haven't watched Volume 5, and God bless you, okay? We are skipping Volume 5. There's another picture, by the way, of him getting hit by the Tyrion's tail. Go straight to Volume 6. Next chapter is Volume 6, Chapter 1, Argus Limited. This, for me, is still the best chapter opener. The best opener to any volume of RWBY is Argus Limited. It is good. This is, without a doubt, no debate, no question, Volume 6, Chapter 1, Argus Limited is a good chapter of RWBY. All right, it's good. The world feels alive. I talked about this before. The world feels alive in this episode. You see people walking around. You see they're on the train. They're traveling. They're interacting with huntsmen. Other huntsmen have popped up in the show now. There's an actual world here, a network of huntsmen. It feels real. It feels lived in. It feels like a good episode, and it's just well done. The entire show should have been more like this. The entire series should have been more like this episode, but it wasn't. Okay. We get the character moments from RWBY stepping up as a leader. Again, the development wasn't the strongest, but we got a character that we liked what we got from her in this chapter. We didn't see the proper execution of the development from Volume 5 because according to the voice actress, whose name I can't remember, oh my God, I'm so bad with names. She said that RWBY's character development came when she says, "I'm angry" in Volume 5, which is dumb. But putting that aside, we had a RWBY character that was more assertive. She was a better leader, more aggressive. She's more standing up for what she believes in. I just liked that characterization for RWBY at this point, even though the development wasn't good. We have the crew starting to doubt Osmond, which I liked. A little bit of doubt in there for Osmond. You know, Osmond lied about. He didn't lie. He didn't tell them about the relic attracting Grimm. They were upset about that, so they laid the groundwork. Laid some seeds for doubting Osmond. The fact sequence at the end was very good. RWBY again stepping up as a leader. I just thought it was a good episode of RWBY. Best opener to any volume. And I can't complain. I can't complain about it at all. I thought it was very good. Lindsay Jones, thank you. I could not think of her name to save my life. Who was in charge of this episode in particular? I don't know. I can tell you who wrote it. The person who wrote this episode was... Let's see. The episode written by... No, Carrie executive produced all these episodes. But the writer was... Let's see. Coming up here in a second. Written by Miles and Carrie. The two OGs. Miles and Carrie wrote it. So this is a good episode of RWBY. Any objections? You guys agree? Like this episode? Was it good? Did you enjoy this episode? I've got no complaints about this episode. Well, there's always complaints with RWBY, but no major complaints. Nothing worth mentioning. No episode of RWBY is perfect. No episode is perfect. But this was a good episode. Of course, Maria Calabera was introduced at the end there. So, yeah, solid stuff. I like them doubting Osmond at first. Then it kept going for a very long, too long. It became too overdramatic. Take there. All right, let's move on to the next chapter, which is... So this is a one that gets skipped a lot. A lot of people will not have this chapter in their best chapters, but for me, I love it. Okay, but a lot of people do not have this in their best chapters. But this, I believe, is a very well put together, very well executed episode of RWBY. And this is Volume 6, Chapter 2, Uncovered. Okay? The very next chapter, Chapter 2, Uncovered. I believe this is a good episode of RWBY. And I'll tell you why. Why is this picture... Okay, I think we're good. We're good. I'll tell you why. Uncovered. Chapter 2. They're leaning into... There's always been suspicions about Osmond, right? There's always been some suspicions about what's going on with Osmond. What's his deal? Like, what's the guy's deal? You know, what's his deal? And ultimately, we find out that he is shady. he is hiding some stuff. He's a liar. And Team RWBY actually challenged him on it, which I actually liked. They went straight to the point and say, hey, Ospen, I think you're full of crap. And we're going to call you out on it. And I appreciated that in this episode for sure. The tension was high. When they come at him hard and he starts like going back at them like aggressively, like, oh, this is good. This is actually good. An actually good scene. We have Ospen finally getting called out for his crap. We have Ospen going back at them. This is actually, I was actually at the edge of my seat. Like, what's happening here? This is actually interesting. What's going on? Thought it was good. Then one of my favorite scenes in the entire series. One of my favorite moments was this moment. When Ospen gets resisted, when I said that wrong way around. When Oscar starts resisting Ospen, when he starts battling him within himself, this is one of my favorite moments of the entire show. This is a moment where I'm like, oh, there's actually stuff happening here. Oh my God, this is actually interesting. What's going to happen next? I had no idea what's going to happen. I had no idea what's happening next. When he got into this little mind tussle with Oscar, I thought, oh, this is good. Ospen is the villain here. He's the actual baddie here. This was good stuff. I like this episode very much. I like this episode in spite of the Cinder stuff. Like, forget about that. I could do without that. But this stuff here, the tension, the build, all this stuff happening with Ospen, this was good. Like this very much. They find out that Ospen's a big fat liar. When they summon Jin, she tells them that she has 2 more wishes that she can grant. Then they have to make a decision. RWBY has agency. She says, okay. Crow says, they're about to kill Crow, man. They put their weapons up to Crow. Crow says, do whatever you think is best, RWBY. Do whatever you think is best. RWBY says, okay, Jin, what has Ospen been hiding from us? Agency for RWBY. Taking a stand against Ospen. Going against the grain. Not just listening to what Ospen had to say. And then we have the reveal at the end that Salem is this lady here. It's a well-constructed episode. You have the tension, you have the build, you have the arguments, you have the dynamic of Ospen and not being able to trust him, because that flipped. From the first 3 volumes, Ospen was the ultimate good guy, the ultimate leader that they can all look to, and aspire to be like. Right? There's nothing wrong with Ospen so much in the first 3 volumes. Then we have this turn where Ospen becomes the shady character that you can't trust. And I thought it was well executed in this chapter. Every freaking reaction I've seen, book it, go test it. You can see it for yourself. Every reaction I've seen to this chapter, the end, they're always about to like have a freak out. They're always like about to fly off the handle because of the way the episode is built and how it's constructed and how this drop at the end of her name is Salem, it just really makes you want to see the next episode immediately. This is a well-constructed episode of television. It's good. If you ignore the Cinder stuff is just there. It's whatever, right? It's not bad, it's not good, it's just there. But this stuff with Ospen and the team was good. And we go back and look at those reactions. Every time this episode comes to a close, everyone always are mad that it's ending. Like, oh my God, why did it end? Why did it end there? Oh my God. It's a well put together episode, I think. Now the next episode, but we're not talking about that right now. We're talking about the good stuff, okay? This is good. Bro, I was shocked to know that Salem was originally human. I thought she was a Grimm that evolved into human. Yeah, exactly. It was just a big shocking moment, a good moment for the show. They gave the power to turn the birds. Okay. Power to turn the birds. No nipples, 0 out of 10. This guy. All right, Kelvin. Now, the next episode, I can't defend so much. I thought the next episode was kind of disappointing. I get what they were going for, but I just thought there was better ways to do what they wanted to do in the next episode. But again, we're not talking about that. This is the positives, okay? All right. So that's another good episode I guess overlooked is Volume 6, Chapter 2, Uncovered. Okay. Now for the best chapter of Volume 6 is without question Alone in the Woods. This may be her best episode, I think. This was a time when they decided to really invest in the character. All the people who are forever wanting RWBY to get some development, want RWBY to have some character moments, want RWBY to talk about her silver eyes, this was the episode for you. This was it. All the criticism that they got about RWBY, it all went here in a positive way. Whereas later on, it becomes a little negative. Here it's all funneled in a positive way. Alone in the Woods, best chapter of Volume 6. You obviously have Crow being drunk, RWBY being upset that Crow is drunk. You have her being frustrated at Crow and then becoming sympathetic. She showed that she's dynamic here. Everyone's tired because of the apathy grim. Everyone wants to give up because of the apathy. She has the relic. She wants to drop it down the well, but she resists it because she is the main character. That makes sense. She has the more will and more drive than everyone else. That makes sense. She's the main character. I'm fine with that. She resisted that. And then once she dropped it, she completely, the apathy had no effect on her at that point. She had completely taken herself over and said, I'm not leaving without the lamp. Good character moment. Good stuff for RWBY. Her resolve, her determination is at the forefront here. It's a very good chapter for the main character and a good chapter overall for the show. She showed her range, she showed her agency, and I liked that they finally gave her something to chew on here. It's a very good episode of RWBY. The apathy are the best Grimm they created. I liked it. Yes, I'm a fan of that. I don't know if it's the best, but it's definitely a strong addition to the Grimm family for sure. It's a shame that RWBY's development in the first half went down the hill in the second. Yelling at, that was stupid. Her yelling at Crow later on and saying what she say to Crow? I don't really care what you think. That was silly. It was dumb. It was just too much. Her speech to Cordo, her speech to Cordo, I didn't like that. None of that stuff. All her speeches in the second half of the volume was bad. But we're not talking about the bad. We're talking about the good. We're talking about the good. This is a good chapter of RWBY, Alone in the Woods. Good episode. She's the main character. Yes. Good stuff here. At the silver eyes moment here, when she finally got a little bit of control of it, we found out that Miria once had silver eyes. So we think, oh, great. Finally, we'll talk about the silver eyes. Solid stuff. Can't complain. Good episode of RWBY for sure. All right. Let's move on to... Oh, yeah, then he tossed the book. Remember that. Good episode. Now, let's move on to the next episode of RWBY. We're going to jump right into Volume 7. The best episode of Volume 7 was Gravity. This is top tier RWBY. Top tier RWBY. Up there with Heroes and Monsters for me. You have, in the category of Heroes and Monsters, Alone in the Woods, I think Gravity is actually better than Alone in the Woods. This might be the second or third best chapter of RWBY. So good. Fantastic fight between Ironwood and Watts. You have Ironwood willing to sacrifice his arm to stop Salem and Watts. You have the fight between Tyrion and Crow and Robin and Clover was solid. It's just a very good episode of RWBY. Good character moments for Ironwood. Very good character stuff for Ironwood. He flips out and rightfully so, because he finds out that Yang and them are lying to him. You know, how did Robin know about the communication project? Well, you know, Yang and Blake ran their mouth. So of course he's not going to trust them. You know, he didn't trust them. They keep lying to him. They lied to him about Robin. They lied to him about the lamp. They told him that there was only that there's no questions left, but they had two. Oh, they had one left. The big fat liars. That's what they were. We had the reveal of the Grimm being in the bag. Salem popped out. She said her piece. Ruby tried to stand up to her, but then Salem said, "Yo, mama," right? "Yo, mama," and then Ruby was like, "Oh no, I couldn't take it." And she kind of that might have been the weakest part of the episode, but not enough to take it down a notch. This was a good episode of RWBY for sure. Gravity. Now the next episode was horrible. But we're not talking about that. We're not talking about the next episode. We're talking about this episode. This was a good episode of RWBY. Thoughts? Any objections? Ironwood's badass. He was good. Ironwood's MVP. Yes, he was. Your mama is dead is basically what she said. Very well animated, very well shot, very dynamic. It was very good. Good stuff. Gravity. Good stuff, man. Like again, because I was so happy that because RWBY and Gang and Weiss and Blake, they were annoying me the entire volume. Like, when are they going to actually talk to this dude and tell him the truth? So when I finally saw that it came around, like, oh, okay, it finally came around. They're acknowledging the fact that they lied. Okay, here's the consequences of that. Cool, great. Consequences. Stakes, things mattering. That's what I like. That's what I like to see. Excuse me. So when they finally called him out on lying, I was like, yes, finally. It's annoying me the entire volume that they're lying for no reason. It just made no sense for them to keep lying. They made the situation worse. They made the situation much worse than it had to be by lying. His anger was justified, for sure it was. Definitely justified, for sure. His actions later on didn't match that, sure, but I appreciated the character in this episode. I liked that he was dynamic. I had no issue with his plan either. Dire times. You gotta do what you got to do. Someone had to make a tough call. They're trying to say, we gotta save everyone. Sometimes you can't save everyone. He had to make a tough call. He's not evil. He just made a decision. Was it a decision I would have made? Maybe not. But someone had to make a tough call. He's in charge. Someone had to make the tough call. And he made the decision that he made to lift Atlas up into the atmosphere. They didn't like that idea clearly, so could have used the relic to come up with something, but it's what it is. And believe it or not, the last chapter I want to talk about here, one more, was the one from the filler volume. I'm skipping volume 8 completely. Just skipping it. No volume 8, skipping it. Jumping straight to volume 9, chapter 7, the filler volume, The Perils of Paper Houses. Right? This was a good episode. Probably my favorite episode of the entire volume that was filler. We got RWBY finally snapping and breaking. We had the paper pleasers that wanted to off themselves, but John was trying to stop them from offing themselves. They wanted to ascend. John was like, no, we can't. I have to save you because of my own past, my own issues, own difficulties with saving Penny and Pyrrha. So he's like imprinting that upon them. Say, hey, I have to save you guys. You guys have to be saved. But even though they didn't want to be saved. They wanted to ascend. Like, no, you can't go to the tree. I have to save you. And that was the situation there. Good stuff. They ultimately found a way to take themselves out by breaking the dam. John is freaking out. He's losing it. He's not right in the head. After the paper pleasers die, that's when RWBY freaking flips out, because John flips out. But the whole entire time, they're not really listening to RWBY. RWBY keeps trying to talk and give her peace, but they're not letting her get a word in. So she finally snaps on them. And it's a good moment. Goes after Bumblebee. She goes straight after Bumblebee, which is cool. She goes after John, all of them. I just think it's a very good scene. It's a good episode because things finally happened with RWBY. She finally snapped. We've been wanting to see RWBY snap from the very beginning. They've been talking about her snap from I don't know how long, like since volume 4. We've been talking about RWBY potentially snapping. Lizzie Jones talked about it for a while. She wanted RWBY to snap, and it finally happened. She finally snapped, and it was good. It was great. Now, it speaks to how uninteresting some of these characters are, because when that happened, the entire fandom freaked out. When RWBY snapped, oh my God, you should see the reactions. They act like they've never seen anything like that before in their lives. Like, oh my God, they're freaking out because there's actually like some interesting things happening on the screen with these characters. They're freaking out. I'm like, guys, this is the kind of stuff we should have been getting the entire time. This character stuff, we should have been getting this the entire time. The reason why you're freaking out now is because you don't get this very often. We should be getting stuff like this more often. Then you wouldn't freak out the way you did had that been the case. We have the moment where John tells RWBY that it's all her fault and it's all about Hugh. And RWBY cries even more. Then she tells Blake to shut up. He flies off. It's a good episode. Now, unfortunately, this episode or chapter is in a filler volume. I stand by that. The volume is filler, but it's still a good chapter of RWBY. We've got character moments, character breaks, and stuff is interesting from a character perspective. Thoughts on the perils of paper in houses? Do you agree? Did you like this episode? Yeah, John snapped at her. Yeah. It's always about you. It's all about you. Yeah. He snapped at her. Because it's her fault. Because he was right. He said, Neil's there because she hates you. That caused the distraction. It's your fault that the paper pleasers got killed. The whole reason why they're down there, because your dumbass plan in volume 8. That was your plan. It was dumb. And that's why we're down here now. It's all about you. It's all your fault. Now, was it the best thing to say at the time? No. Was he flipping out? Did he lose it a bit? Yeah. But it's a good moment. Good moment. Good stuff. The next episode was the best one. For me, this one was better than the next one. Talking about the whole Neo thing and Neo turning into... Maybe because I'm down on Neo completely. That's why I don't love that episode as much. I think this episode is better than the next one with Neo. Her tricks and her semblance that develop out of nowhere. They can't explain how her semblance developed, but her semblance is different somehow. She mind screws. I was going to say another word, but she messes with RWBY's head by turning into Pyrrha and Oscar and Osmond and all of them to mess with RWBY's head to get her to try to end herself or ascend. And it's okay. There's moments that are bad, like how there's literally a scene where Team RWBY runs in, they stop, then they cut away, and they run in again. Like they double run in. It's hilarious. Go back and watch that episode. They run into the house twice. It's hilarious. This season was too short. In hindsight, they probably should have allocated this time and resources to actually trying to finish the volume, because we may not get another volume of RWBY. The fact that the filler volume is the last one is kind of crazy. Like the last thing we may see of RWBY, the very last volume might be completely filler. And I'm not just saying that. The writer himself said it. Eddie said that this is a filler volume, except for the lore drop about the gods. I think it's episode what, 8, 9, or 10, we get a lore dump about how the gods are related to the ever after. He said that's information that you have to know, but he said the volume is filler. So the writer is on record as saying it's a filler volume, the writer. So I don't want to hear it, all right? It's filler. But technically, the scene in the Justice League crossover is still part of RWBY, technically. So because they're in, oh my God, what's the name of the damn kingdom? They're in Vacuo. Jesus. They're in Vacuo. So we see that in the crossover movie. So technically that is the latest thing we've seen in RWBY for sure. But yeah. Filler volume, but chapter 7 is good. So what are the honorable mentions? So that's the chapters that I wanted to highlight. But what are the honorable mentions? I think, what have we not talked about yet? Chapter 3, Volume 3, Chapter 6, Fall, I like, only because it was the moment where the turn in the show happened. There's this tone shift that happens, which I thought was needed and cool, because that kind of set the stage for the end of Volume 3. The shift in tone, the reveal of the maidens, the reveal of summer, not summer, but fall maiden. That was good. That part of it was good. There's still some weird dialogue between, like when they're talking to her about the maiden power, it's not the best dialogue, like what Linda Goodwitch is saying. Did I say Linda Goodwitch? What's it? Glinda Goodwitch. That stuff, that dialogue is not great. I think it's still solid. Volume 3, Chapter 4, which is titled, I probably should add that one in hindsight. Volume 3, Chapter 4. This is the chapter where, where's the Chapter 3? Chapter 3. Both of the chapters are solid. Volume 4, Chapter 3 and Volume 4, Chapter 4 are solid stuff. The one, Crow's introduction, the fight with Winter was solid. Winter's talk with Weiss in Volume 4 was good. So that's Volume 3 stuff. Early Volume 3 stuff that I could have added. I can't remember the name of those chapters offhand. Let's see. Volume 3, Chapter 3, The Brawl in the Family, that's solid. That could be on this list for sure. It's good. Lessons Learned, also solid. Conversation between Weiss and Winter. Conversation between Crow and Yang and RWBY when they're playing the games. That's all solid. A fight between Mercury, Emerald, and the other two, whose name I can't remember right now. Can't remember those two people's names. The hipster with the fashionista and the bigger guy, whose names I can't remember. That was a solid fight. It was okay. Yeah, but those two are solid. They could go on there. I like Crow's introduction again. Good stuff. What else? What else am I missing? Chapter 7 and 8 of what? Cinder's backstory in Volume 3. I like the execution of that chapter. It's something different, right? They never actually showed that before. I believe that's the only time they've done something like that. The entire chapter was flashbacks, and it was just filling in the gap, telling us how Cinder came to how she was. I thought it was a solid episode as well. Different for RWBY, something we haven't seen before. The entire episode was basically like, hey, this is what happened. This is what you don't know. This is what happened with Cinder, Emerald, and Mercury. This is how they came to be. That was the first time we got a hint of Salem. Because you hear Cinder talking. She's talking to somebody ahead of her or above her. And we don't know who that is. So if you're paying attention, you can see that someone's above her. Saw the death. Or not the death, but you saw how Summer. You said Summer. You said Summer. So you saw how the Fall Maiden got taken out. That was cool. Coco and Yakahashi, yeah. Coco. Yeah. What else? What's another good episode of RWBY that I left out here? I think let me take a look at this list over here. Talked about Pain in the Town. Talked about the Volume 4 was solid. Is there a good chapter of Volume 8? Sure, there probably is. I just don't remember it. I don't remember the good chapter in Volume 8. I'm sure there's one in there somewhere. I just can't remember it. Pain in the Town. Talk about Pain in the Town. Let's see. I think I covered it pretty well. From my opinion, the top tier episodes, I covered them all. And nothing in Volume 5. Nothing in Volume 5. Volume 4, talked about those. Talked about the last two of the volume. Chapter 2 of Volume 4 is solid. Remembrance, that was a solid chapter. Showed how the loss of John. Showed how the loss of Hera was affecting John. We saw how somber the situation was, how dire the situation was. We saw how on the road to Mistral, there's some death and destruction and loss of life. So that's solid as well. We saw Weiss in her natural habitat at home. Remembrance is a solid episode. People crying in the end of the episode. So it brings about emotion. Solid stuff. Yeah, I think that's it, folks. Oh yeah, here's another one. Volume 4, Chapter 4 was solid, especially the Yang stuff. Yang's stuff with her father and Professor Port, and yeah, that stuff was solid. Character work for Yang in that chapter was good, I thought. But yeah, I think that's it. Episode 1. Well, again, I'm very I'm forgiving on Volume 4, on Volume 1. I think the first episode of the series is solid. I do. I don't hate it. I think it's a good introduction for a passion project. The fact that like 4 people working on it. I think the very first episode of RWBY is serviceable. It's good. It works well for what they tried to do. So I will go back and also say the very first episode of the entire series, ignoring some of the dialogue from Salem, ignoring that, just what they set up, RWBY, the introduction of RWBY was good. I like how they introduced her. Episode 1 is solid introduction to a show for this caliber of a show. But there's only like 4 people working on it at the time. I think that it was a solid introduction. Yeah. A lot of people love the food fight in Volume 2. Do I think that episode is good? It's all right. Yeah, it's solid stuff. I can't complain. All right, folks. That is it for this video or this stream. The next one will be the worst. Well, the next one about RWBY. I can't guarantee it'll be the next stream, but the next stream about RWBY will be the worst of RWBY. Originally, this is going to be a dual video where I talk about the best and the worst, but I found myself taking a long time putting together the worst list, so I just dropped it. I cut it out. Like, no, I can't do this right now. It's taking me too long. So the next video I do, or next stream about RWBY, will be the worst of RWBY, and that's going to be a long, maybe a longer video, maybe. I don't know. We'll see. There's just more to pick from. Like the entirety of Volume 5 could be on the list. I could make the entirety of the worst of RWBY, Volume 5. I could do the whole entire Volume 5 being the worst. But I'll try not to do that. I'll try to sprinkle it out, pick and choose from different volumes. But yeah, it's going to be more difficult to grab the worst videos, the worst chapters. It's way too much stuff to choose from. All of Volume 5, some crap in Volume 7, crap in Volume 6, crap in Volume 8. Just so much crap. Volume 9 has some nonsense. Just so much bad. It's hard to put it all together, you know? Just take me too long. It just took me too long. I did not love Volume 8. Not love Volume 8. Don't love Volume 7. Those are probably my 3 worst volumes. 8, 7, 5 are the worst for me. 7, 8, and 5 are the worst. Hey, what's up? Hi, you just missed the stream. About 70% of RWBY will be in that stream. Yeah, I'm limited to top 10. I'm gonna try. I'm gonna pick 10, maybe try to hit every volume, but there's no way I can cover the entire thing. Just way too much bad. And a lot of stuff are on the same level as bad. So not much of a difference between bad. But yeah, it's gonna be quite the task, but we'll see how it goes. All right, folks, that's it for they're locked. Yeah, I know. That's it for this stream. Hope you enjoyed it. I'll be streaming Final Fantasy this week, maybe even tomorrow. I'll be working on the next video I'm working on right now is the Netflix Avatar: The Last Airbender, talking about Katara and how they did her, the changes there and the differences there between the animation and the live action, and the mistakes that I thought they made, things that they know whatsoever. She's the worst character in that damn Netflix show, for sure. That's probably the next one I'm going to upload. Next stream will probably be Final Fantasy. And then again, the next RWBY stream will be the worst of RWBY. But thanks, guys, for stopping in. Appreciate you guys. I'll be streaming more. I'll talk to you guys later. Peace.